through our extensive, unscientific, completely incompetent study of relating things, we've found when we looked for people, we found golf balls, which isn't that abnormal, but in the oddest places where there shouldn't be golf balls. And so we come to associate golf balls, a not naturally occurring thing, with what we do. So we go out there and, I remember we were up near Reading and we were interviewing people. It was a rare trip where TJ and I went. Usually we're split up, but we went together, and it was a rare trip. And there's a reason we don't go places together, which is just for the better. But we went up there, and I remember TJ just, when we were looking, he says, "Golf ball." And as soon as he gets it's like a dog on the scent with the golf ball. So because of a lot of searches, we gathered a lot of golf balls, and every golf ball represented, in a way, a search. So TJ, there was a place doing a fundraiser, and in order to help that out, TJ thought he would help, and he sent these golf balls representing these people to this place and didn't even think that how he worded it or how it appeared, that it might look like a serial killer was sending them in. But
what it was, well, let's kick this back a little bit
you
more.
sent a suitcase full of golf balls to a major newspaper.
I did not send it to a major. I sent 30. The first. Let's start with the first set of golf balls. I accumulated 4 dozen golf balls from various searches at sites. Again, it was they would pop up. They would be on the road. They would be in bushes. They would be in trees. They would be in swamps. They would be in mud puddles. And every time I pick up that golf ball or found a golf ball, we usually located who we were looking for.
TJ,
and
they're freaking everywhere. Every garment I have has golf balls in the pockets now.
But we're at an adjoining golf course. So anyway, the first time I gave all my 48 golf balls to a bar in New Orleans. I was down there with my son and his future father-in-law, and was talking about the golf ball phenomenon. And the bartender says, you're full of it. I've never heard of it. And I said, look, you're doing a fundraiser. I said, let me send the golf balls down to you. So I wrote up a letter and described how I found them, how that sometimes we were in training, but majority of the times we were doing actual searches, found these golf balls, and I sent all 48 golf balls down to New Orleans. Well, time went by, and then I accumulated 3 dozen golf balls. So I was looking for, now, where do I get rid of these golf balls? I tried to give them away. Nobody wanted them. They thought that it was some sort of taboo that was associated with them. And so my brother at the time was working with a politician out in California. And
what do you mean your brother at the time?
My brother.
Isn't he still your brother?
No, it was my brother. My brother had retired, but he was working at the time with a politician, and I think it was the Ventura County, California, and they had a fundraiser for golf, for a golf outing. So I called up and I said, well, "Do you want these golf balls?" And they thought it was a little bit odd, but they said, "Yes, send them down." So they did a whole promotion with them, and unfortunately, they didn't sell a single one.
Because they're like cursed golf balls.
But now I got 2 dozen golf balls left, and ironically, the last search we were on, that where I did not get the golf ball because the individual that was had the golf ball, who had picked it up where the subject was located, kept it. And ever since then, I haven't found any golf balls. So whoever the golf ball individual was, or I call him the golf ball killer, who was always leaving us clues,
What's amazing is that we can be on something and we could be doing a case, and it adds a little break in it, and there'll be people out there that and you'll say, I have I forget who it was. It was some police officer somewhere, and they said, I've got something important for your assistant chief. I go, what do you got? And he's got a bunch of golf balls. I'm like, how did he even get this out to everybody? Is that the first thing you tell people? Collect all the golf balls? Now, you can't see this on radio, but this is a picture a member sent me to remind you, because they have that for you.
Oh, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. It's
Well, you have to admit, and I'll interject. We were looking for an individual in February, and we were in a swamp, and there's no way a golf ball could be in a swamp. And I found actually I found 2 golf balls, and if you triangulated the golf balls as to it would. You triangulated the golf balls as to where the subject was found. It was dead on. So whoever, it was just weird. It just seems like if I find a golf ball, it's like a good luck thing, or it's a clue.
I don't go with the golf ball triangulation theory, okay, but there have been places where we found them where there's no reason a golf ball should be there, and just in really, really odd places, and it isn't. It's just something to distract you from the grim task that you're on, and that's what it's become. It's become a kind of a distraction from the.
But I think also it's making our team members be a little bit more.
It makes them look. It makes them pay
look.
attention. Yeah,
they
does.
said, well, if we're not going to find anything, we're going to find a golf ball for TJ.
And see what and see that's the name of the after school autobiographical special of golf balls for TJ. And I just think that it does make them look, and people don't realize that they think you just go out and look, and it's really difficult to look for extended periods of time with focus. It really is. And it's a learned skill, and some people just can't do it. They just don't have the focus, and I see less and less people with the focus. And the golf ball is just something when you're looking for somebody, even if you don't find a person, because you're going to not find people more than you find people, because there's more places that people aren't than they are when you're looking. So what happens is when you are looking, even if we don't find the people, I get suspicious when people come back and they haven't found anything. Because when we're looking, we find wallets, we find medicines, we find phones, we find watches, we find everything that's been chucked out of speeding cars and arguments. We find clandestine drug labs. We find all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. You should be finding other things out there, because there's things everywhere. Dog tags, keys, what was the last thing? The wedding ring.
Wedding, yes.
That was in the midst of something else, and find a wedding ring, get the wedding ring back to the original owner by a fluke of luck, and you should be finding something. If you go out if you're searching, you find absolutely nothing, I don't think you were looking real hard, because there's something everywhere. It may not be related to the person you're looking for, but there's something out there.
Many, many years ago, I was out again when I had my canine partner, so it had to be early 2000, maybe late 90s. And I was told that the individual always had 2 beers with him, 2 containers of beer. But I didn't inquire as to what type of beers they were. I was still kind of new to everything, and I figured, well, all right, I'll just use the scent article, which someone had, not to mention his name, popped a trunk to the individual's car and said, okay, well, smell the trunk. Well, okay, gee, thanks. How about I smell where the person was actually sitting? Well, in the trunk is one of his articles of clothing. But one thing that I didn't realize, I was looking around and I saw all these trash bags. And what they collectively did was that they had other searchers there. Our team was not the first one to be called out, and there was nothing but trash cans, clear plastic trash cans of beer bottles, beer cans, soda bottles, and soda cans, milk containers. It was just trash. And I thought, well, how convenient for them to clean up the woods by just telling people to go out and pick up the trash, because it might be a clue. It turned out that the individual bought a couple of cans of beer, but his sister had made a specially designed jacket because he was an environmentalist. He was concerned about the woods. He was concerned about leaving trash behind. And when he finished drinking his beverage, he would crumble it up and put it inside his jacket. When the individual was located, those 2 containers of beer that he had were still in his jacket.
I'm often amazed at the amount of people that go missing who aren't litter bugs. You know, who you hear that, and unlike other aspects of life, we want missing people to litter. You know, we want them to just throw trash everywhere they go and just throw stuff everywhere they go. But we always get some conservationists, you know, who wraps things up and puts them in their pocket or whatever. Trash are clues. Trash help us find the people. You know, it's just determining which trash is valid trash and, you know, and relevant things. If you're looking for a 48-year-old man who goes missing and you find a wedding dress in the woods, probably not associated, not sure. We're going to put it in the maybe pile, you know. But it's just kind of weird.
Well, look at also the searches we go out. You know, like one of the things we always tell individuals is that our team looks for people who want to be found.
Right.
And we had an individual, again, this case was in New Jersey, young girl, apparently it was a sad ending. She wound up taking her own life, had left her belongings on the opposite side of the road, which indicated that was the area of travel, or the direction of travel that she was going. And there was speculation as to whether or not she caught the bus or whether or not she, you know, got a ride from someone, and so on and so forth. And what she did was she doubled back through the place where she was staying, went out the back gate and into the woods, and she was found by hunters a couple of weeks later. So you also have that deception of individuals who are out there, just like we know that we've been on cases where individuals leave things in order, and then let's take the case of the magnets on the refrigerator, to where we had we're looking for an individual. On the refrigerator was nothing but magnets of Orlando, Florida. Well, one of the areas that they should have been looking for was all the hotels and motels in Orlando, Florida. It wasn't until the individual, you know, as opposed to the area that we were told to search, it wasn't until the individual ran out of cash, where she had to wind up using her credit card, where it popped up. And where did it pop up? In Orlando, Florida.
Well, I remember we went and looked through the house. We went and looked through the house, and we searched all the areas outside. We went and looked through, and we were there at the same time looking at different stuff. And I said, okay, TJ, on 3, where is she? 1, 2, 3. We both said Orlando. And the police officer was like, how did you guys come up with Orlando? And
there's 50 magnets on the refrigerator.
She wants to go to Orlando.
She wants to go to Orlando.
You know? She
just graduated from some education academy, and away she went.
Yeah.
And you know what? One of the other things that just I thought about, we were on a case in New Jersey about a young girl apparently who had some problems, and we got there, and there was this trash can barrel, and they secured the entire area. It was one of these searches to where every emergency service in that area was called in, and I kept staring at that barrel, and I kept saying to myself, has this barrel been, everybody was throwing trash in the barrel. And I said, well, normally in a search area, you want to keep it pristine because you don't know, there might be a clue that they have to look for. But everybody's throwing their coffee cups and so on and so